watuuze pene vaendera na 3 state farms because mukongo kavanakamba abantu kuti ticha kwanji tiza pitiriza na kalimidwe kachamba lero chamba ije ni cash crop so vaendera pati nanga mene winter maize vakalibwana ma company yawo aya vati masulire va president wanachita declare drought as a national disaster tiendera pati because wanakamba chabe men and women in uniform. So which ones? Is it ZNS, Zambia Army, or Nwazawa? Because though these are men and women in uniform. So us, what we are going to remind the new dawn is that the day they are going to go the route of production, unlike Kanjira Kamalon, and understanding that land is our birthright, then we should make use of it.
A lovely good evening, and thank you so much, our dear viewer, for joining us for the main news this evening. Here are the stories making headlines. Bonders back Zambia's $2.9 plan. Was energy ballots after this break.
Chelsea cookies, delicious cookies, the secret recipe to happiness. A little bit of chocolate for moments you won't forget to make your masterpiece of tastiness. A little bit of butter makes life better, for memories to bring you happiness. And for you, Mr. Healthy, I have something nice and OT to keep you going nice and strong. Chelsea cookies, delicious cookies, baking delicious memories. Chelsea cookies, tasty cookies, baking delicious memories.
Trade Kings, improving lives.
With the news in detail, my name is Lovisa Chilufya. The government has announced that bondholders have overwhelmingly voted in favor of a proposed restructuring deal, reaching the required minimum threshold, aiming to restructure 3 series of notes worth a total of $2.95 billion due in 2022, 2024 and 2027. According to Ministry of Finance and National Planning, the concert solicitation received an overwhelming response, with the majority of bondholders supporting the proposal. Minister of Finance and National Planning Dr. Stumbeko Msokotwane says finalizing this agreement will create the necessary fiscal space for Zambia to maintain sustainable economic growth. He adds that the country has been working towards resolving its Eurobond default, which occurred nearly 4 years ago, and is now close to closing the restructuring chapter. Meanwhile, Advocates for National Development and Democracy (ANDD) says it is elated with the outcome of the first Konkwela Copper Mines creditors meeting, which voted overwhelmingly for the scheme of arrangement. And ANDD Executive Director Samuel Banda believes that this is a significant step in addressing the outstanding payments to the valued suppliers and contractors, while it's paving the way for the finalization of KCM Vedanta transition process. Mr. Banda says the voting of the scheme of arrangement by creditors during the first creditors meeting, which was held on the 24th of May is a clear demonstration that the stakeholders and creditors have confidence in Vedanta Resources' financial capacity.
As the advocates for national development and democracy, we wish to state that we are elated with the successful outcome of the first creditors meeting, which was held on the 24th May 2024. In which the creditors overwhelmingly supported the scheme of arrangement. We believe this is a significant step in addressing the outstanding payment to the suppliers and contractors, and also to pave the way for the finalization of the KCM Vedanta transition process. Therefore, we also want to indicate that the voting of the scheme of arrangement by the creditors has actually demonstrated that creditors and stakeholders have the confidence in Vedanta Resources' financial capacity. Vedanta will clear off payment to the suppliers and contractors, and we also believe, we are optimistic that it will resuscitate our Konkwela Copper Mine and contribute positively to our national socio-economic development holistically. We therefore wish to call upon stakeholders, KCM creditors in the second creditors meeting to fully support the scheme of arrangement in another meeting, which will be held on 30th May. To fully support the implementation of the scheme of arrangement, this is to ensure that they get their payments and also to expedite the transition process. As ANDD, we are very optimistic that Vedanta we will recapitalize KCM, resuscitate KCM, and inject their investment strategic commitments. Among them is the over $1.3 billion meant for mine recapitalization.
Action for Quality Education in Zambia, NAWAKWI's Executive Director Aaron Chansa has appealed to government to prioritize the payment of salaries for teachers who were recently recruited in February this year. Mr. Chansa says it is uncalled for that government has kept these teachers for 3 months without putting them on payroll, leaving them depressed and unable to survive. He says it makes worrying news that some of these teachers, especially those that were recruited under replacement, are not yet on government payroll. He adds that the teachers have been trotting from one office to another, but they are not being given any information of hope for next month. Mr. Chansa further implores government to ensure that these teachers are paid in the upcoming June salaries, further citing the financial needs of the teachers and the importance of their work in shaping the country's future.
About this situation, A lot of the victims have called us. They are saying that the government has not put them on the payroll since January, and their visit to respective government offices like DETAINED is not yielding any results, and the worry is that there is no assurance from government over this matter. These are people that some of them left private jobs to join the public service, and we wonder how they are surviving. They are supposed to look after their families, and the best thing that government can do is to issue a statement to assure these teachers, because as far as we know, they are supposed to be in classes teaching, reducing the teacher preparations, and seeing them chasing after their salary is something that is disturbing to us, and we want to appeal to the Teaching Service Commission.
Energy expert Johnson Chikwanda has urged financial institutions in Zambia to create innovative facilities that can finance the mass installation of solar power in both public and private institutions. Dr. Chikwanda says financing these initiatives will be lucrative for both public and private institutions. He states that the country needs to embrace solar power as an alternative to free the national grid, sustain power needs, and make Zambia energy sufficient even when hydropower is at its optimum. He has also called on private institutions to quickly conduct an audit of their energy needs and go off-grid by installing solar, contending that existing backups and generators are not sustainable. The energy expert adds that while installation costs may be high, the long-term benefits of solar outweigh the cost factor, hence the need for banks and other financial institutions to exploit the situation. This comes to light following a recent presidential directive that public entities must install solar power within 6 months as Zambia grapples with an increasing amount of load shedding due to power shortages.
Even appealing to private sector institutions as well to take a leaf and learn from what is going to happen to these public premises. The issue of energy poverty that we are going through at the moment is extremely dire, and we need everyone to play ball. We need everyone to take things almost in their own hands. Government is doing all it can on its part, but we need the consumers, be it public sector consumers or private sector consumers, to do their part. And just to add on, whilst these measures are also going on, it is important as well to ensure that all lights in offices that are not occupied, whether at home or at the office, rooms that are not occupied, switch off the lights. For issues that are to do with security lights, I'm appealing, ensure that you install motion sensors. The motion sensors, the way they work, they keep the security lights off and only switch them on when automatically when there is an intrusion on the premises.
Now, Zambia Institute of Purchasing and Supply, ZIPS, has launched its 12th conference themed at growing Zambia's economy through chain competitive, which will be held from June 4th to 7th, 2024 at the Avani Victoria Falls Resort in Livingston. Speaking when he addressed the media, ZIP's president Daniel Kabamba says this year's theme is vigorously pursuing decentralization, domestication and diversification agenda, which is crucial for national development, and procurement practitioners that will play an essential role in making these goals a reality. Mr. Karamba states that the recent successful debt restructuring deal underscores the importance of strategic economic management, and procurement professionals are key to ensuring that these economic gains translate into tangible benefits for all Zambians. He adds that the procurement sector is facing several emerging challenges, which includes the need for an anchor in charge of procurement in government, regulatory changes, and the push for stability. He further adds that one of the pressing issues is the perception and reality of corruption within the sector, further emphasizing ZIP's commitment in combating corruption through stringent adherence to ethical standards, continuous professional development, and fostering a culture of transparency and accountability. Mr. Karamba has further called on all stakeholders in the supply chain to uphold the highest standards of professionalism and integrity in order to put Zambia first to find lasting solutions in the supply chain, which is crucial for effective development.
Everybody who is involved in procurement process actually does appreciate and understand the role that procurement is playing. It's a serious strategic partner to all stakeholders that involves the general public of Zambia, general citizenry, and the government. And therefore, under the contemporary matters that are happening in the procurement process, we have got emerging issues that will be outlined. That procurement sector is facing several emerging challenges, including the need for an anchor in charge of procurement in the government, regulatory challenges, and the push for sustainability. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to stress the point here that much as you look at procurement, procurement stands like it's an orphan. You may understand and appreciate that procurement does not have a supervisor in the country. It supervises itself. So as you say, a procurement officer, it doesn't have a person who reports to. So meaning that if I'm head of procurement at company A or Ministry A, I'm the apex. Other than that, nothing remains. This means that the procurement process remains uncoordinated in this country because we don't have a person who is able to distribute. Some of you, I know, you are players and you understand how Charles was playing football. Actually, I was at the center of making sure that balls are actually given to all the scorers so they can score. But this does not happen in the procurement process. So it remains as vulnerable.
Technology and Science Minister Honorable Felix Mutati has disclosed that his ministry is spending 150 million kwacha to upgrade trade schools and equip them this year. Mr. Mutati says 80 million kwacha is being spent to upgrade trade schools countrywide to modern standards, while 70 million kwacha is being spent to buy new equipment. Speaking at the Copper Belt Agricultural Mining Industrial Networking Enterprise Caminex breakfast this morning in Kitwe, Mr. Mutati says the government is spending all that money to ensure youths attain the best skills while in school. Mr. Mutati says the upgrading of the trade schools is aimed at ensuring that students get the right skills needed in the industry once they graduate.
For Caminex, for the role that Caminex is playing in fostering skills and also innovation, particularly in mining, in agriculture, and industry. Let me also say thank you to ZANACO. ZANACO has been very creative and innovative, particularly in digital banking. When I toured their innovation hub almost a year ago, I was pleased by the impact of skills, the impact of creativity that ZANACO was developing in order to drive, in particular, agency banking. Today, they have over 27,000 agency banking across Zambia, creating the much-needed jobs for our boys and girls.
And speaking at the same event, Mines and Mineral Development Minister Paul Kabuswe has dispelled assertions by some opposition political parties that the Zambian government has paid $100 million to a South African company to conduct geological mapping in Zambia. According to social media reports, aerial geological mapping of Zambia is set to start by June this year, as government has signed a $100 million contract with Xaluba Multiphysics of South Africa to undertake the task that was last done in the 1970s. Mr. Kabuswe says government will announce the proper details once the deal is concluded.
We are so grateful. We are hoping that this Friday also the other class of creditors will also vote properly so that the scheme can go on and KCM can come back on board. And I want to assure you businessmen, it's not that Vedanta or government do not have what it takes to run that mine. It's because we had to let the court processes run. And it was a result of some of the wrong decisions that were made. But I want to assure you that after the creditor scheme success, Vedanta comes on board and money will start flowing again through KCM. You should also thank, I think we have paid new suppliers and business persons on the copper belt. You are enjoying, I'm told, businesses are flowing. Inquiries and they are flowing like no man's business. So let's take advantage. And I and my colleague, the Minister of Commerce, we are working around the clock over the local content issue, which we want to support local businesses in the mining sector and other sectors. So thank you very much, Minister, for giving us a platform to meet our people.
Still in our local stories, Fair Road Properties Limited has urged investors to take advantage of Zambia's economic rebound with real estate investment. Company Chief Executive Officer and Chairman Chisebwe Fumbeshi has since announced an excellent opportunity for investors to capitalize on Zambia's anticipated economic rebound. According to a recent Ministry of Finance analysis, Zambia is expected to achieve strong economic development in 2025, fueled by effective policy frameworks and investments in the important sectors. Commenting on this development, Mr. Fumbeshi says the predicted economic recovery gives an excellent opportunity for real estate investment because Zambia's economy demands commercial and residential buildings, which are likely to increase delivery significant profits for intelligent investment. He further emphasizes that Zambia's strategic location in Southern Africa, offers access to rising markets, increasing the possibility for significant returns on real estate investment.
As Zambia economy grows, demand for commercial and residential buildings is likely to increase, delivering significant profits for intelligent investors. According to a recent Ministry of Finance analysis, Zambia is expected to achieve strong economic development in 2025, fueled by effective policy frameworks and investments in important sectors. We are on the verge of an economic revival in Zambia, which presents an excellent opportunity for real estate investors. As Fairworld Properties, we are ready to assist all our clients to make sure that everything is done according to the right steps for them to achieve best results.
Zambia Police Service has taken former Finance Minister Edith Nawakwi into custody for alleged seditious practices contrary to the Penal Code Act. Police spokesperson Ray Hamonga says seditious practices involve actions intended to incite rebellion against the state's authority, which is considered a serious offense. He has since assured the public that they are committed to maintaining law and order and will take necessary measures to address the actions that threaten national security and public order. Ms. Nawakwi is expected to appear in court soon to face charges.
The Zambia Police Service in Lusaka has today, the 20th of May 2024, recorded a warn and caution statement from Ms. Edith NAWAKWI. She has been detained for the offense of seditious practices contrary to Section 57, 1A and B, as read with Section 60, B and E of the Penal Code Act Chapter 7 of the laws of Zambia. Ms. NAWAKWI is currently in police custody. The offense of seditious practices is a serious matter as it involves actions intended to incite rebellion against the authority of the state. The Zambia Police Service is committed to maintaining law and order, and we take all necessary measures to address actions that threaten national security and public order. Ms. NAWAKWI will appear in court soon to face the charges brought against her. We urge the public to remain calm and refrain from making statements that could lead to further unrest or speculation. The Zambia Police Service will continue to carry...
That brings us to the end of our local stories. We now take a break. We have more coming up in international and sports news. Don't go away.
Baby sunganileke, baby sunganileke, ona kwa mena chachokela sunganileke, nisibani masoma pena, bati sunganileke, vela njoka kumutima. Oh, iweka frutikana, iwe na nevi endela na nisimu na foni.
It was all in my head. Frutikana zona. Frutikana. Feel the rhythm, taste the fun.
Back now with the rest of the news. Final preparations are underway for South Africa's election on Wednesday, which falls 30 years after the country ended apartheid rule and may be the first time that long-time ruling party African National Congress ANC faces losing a majority in parliament. Several polls put ANC approval at less than 50% and facing the possibility of losing power for the first time since it won control of the government led by Nelson Mandela in the country's first democratic elections in 1994. In Johannesburg, Melville neighborhood electoral staff were setting up a polling station ahead of Wednesday's vote. Outside the nearby University of Johannesburg, young people, most of whom were born after the ANC took power, expressed frustration at the economic problems in the country and a desire for change. Young people are a critical voice in this year's elections, with 42% of registered voters being under the age of 40.
An early election for these South Africans. On Monday, registered voters who received special permission to vote early cast their ballots. Numerous residents sat eagerly at their retirement home, avoiding long queues expected on voting day. The special voting process is for registered voters who are unable to travel to a voting station because of physical challenges. The main election day is Wednesday, May 29. President Cyril Ramaphosa hopes the ballot will lead to his re-election, but if the ANC does lose its majority, it will force it into a coalition to form a government. The prospect has brought main opposition parties more to the spotlight. The DA has entered a pre-election agreement with smaller opposition parties, while the EFF, South Africa's third biggest party in parliament, formed by Julius Malema, has called for the nationalization of mines and the redistribution of land to poor blacks. Former President Jacob Zuma added a new dimension when he turned his back on the ANC in December and founded his own party known as the MK. Nearly 28 million South Africans are expected to go to the polls to vote in the national election.
In sports news, Cristiano Ronaldo finished the Saudi Arabia Pro League by setting the season goal scoring record on Monday. Ronaldo scored twice in Riyadh as Al Nassr defeated Al Ittihad 4-2 and lifted his league tally to 35, one more than the record in 2019 by Abderrazak Hamdallah. In the final seconds of the first half, Ronaldo, who had already had 2 goals, ruled out for offside, chested down a long pass from Mohamed Al Fattal and opened the scoring with a low shot from the left side of the area. With 21 minutes remaining, the 5-time Ballon d'Or winner celebrated widely after heading home a corner from Marcelo Brozovic. He was substituted off the field 5 minutes later to a standing ovation from the home fans. That sporting item brings us to the end of our main news, but before we go, here is a recap of stories making headline. Bondholders back Zambia's $2.95 billion debt restructuring plan. Chikwanda calls for innovative financing solutions in the energy sector. Government invests 150 million kwacha in skills development, and NAWAKWI detained for seditious practices. In international news, South Africa elections a final countdown as voters gear up to cast ballots. And in sports, Ronaldo sets a Saudi Pro League season scoring record. This has been the Millennium TV main news read by Lovisa Chilufia. Thank you so much for staying with us. On behalf of the entire news crew, is a lovely evening. Do stay tuned to Millennium TV and good night.